All right. What number are we on? Oh, let me, before we go any further, Denny Holbert, right there in the red shirt. Would you stand up, Denny? So Denny is a retired pastor, and he's kind of made his ministry counseling, working with pastors, and so he's available. If you want to talk to him about anything, burnout, frustrated, you got somebody in your church you want to kill, he'll tell you how to do it. And so he's here for the 2 days, and he's available to anybody that wants to talk to him. What number are we on? 22. In the process of teaching a person about the importance of the basic disciplines of the Christian life, you're teaching your people how important it is. I can encourage, motivate, and reprove them and hold them accountable to do them. So one of the key things in the Christian life is accountability. That's agreed upon accountability and agreed upon motivation. You guys got, then flip to the next slide there. I can encourage, motivate, reprove them, and hold them accountable. And so my goal is to get all the men in accountability groups. And so I have accountability group on Tuesday morning at Rogers in Albany. I have accountability group on Wednesday here. I have an accountability group on Tuesday at 9 out at Larry Payne's house. I have an accountability group Thursday here. I'm getting ready to start 2 more accountability groups in Salem at Sherry's Restaurant. And then there's a number of other guys in the church that have accountability groups. And so when we get in a group, we meet for an hour. Everybody has goals. I'll read my Bible, pray with my wife, take my wife on a date, etc. And we just share, how are we doing? And if somebody doesn't do well, then we'll pray for you. And if they come back the next week and don't do well, then we all get to kick them. It's just verbal, but it works. It works. Nobody wants to go and say, I didn't do any good. Usually they'll skip. If they don't show up, you know why. But it's so we hold it accountable. Now, in the leadership class, the one thing when I talk about guys dumbing the class down that a lot of people leave out is the scoring. So when you are part of my class, there's some requirements. Read your Bible every day, 3 chapters minimum, with a plan. Pray 15 minutes every day by yourself. Pray with your wife 3 times a week. Read 30 to 50 pages, whatever signed books I give. And greet 2 people in church you've never met before. There's 7 different things. And and listen to a podcast. Give several suggestions of people who do podcasts on leadership. And so they do those things, and they have a sheet, and they fill in what they've done. And then I give them points. 100 points you read your Bible. 100 points you pray 15 minutes. 100 points you pray with your wife 3 times a week. 100 points for the podcast. 100 points for the reading. I give more for the reading. And then I give a total, and then it's a running total. And everybody gets a copy when they come into class. And so what I'll say is that if you're dead last, and you say, I don't care about the points, I know you're lying. Everybody in the class knows you're lying. If you're not lying, then you need to go to the women's leadership class. Sorry, ladies. So you care if you're last or first. So be first. Do the work, get the points. A lot of guys who take my material and use it, they leave that part out. You can leave it out if you want, but you get half the faithfulness to the disciplines than if you put it in there. We compete. That's what we do. We like to do that. I watch football on television. I have my team. I root. I hope they win. So, if you're running a race, run it to win. And so anyway, I do that as part of the accountability stuff and teach them how to be accountable and how to encourage others. 23, many Christians accomplish very little with their life and bear little fruit for God because they have little time available. So the motto is, if you're going to manage money well, you spend your money on paper before you spend it in real life. That's a budget. You spend your money on paper before you spend it in real life to eliminate impulsive buying. If you want to manage your money, not go into debt, that's just a simple discipline. Do the same thing with your time. Spend your time on paper before you spend it in real life. Then you will establish priorities in your life. If you just go through life making the squeaky wheel, the Stuff that doesn't matter, that makes a lot of noise, that ends up being the stuff you do, but it doesn't produce much fruit. 20% of what you do will produce 80% of the results. Make that the top. Spend your life on paper. That's a simple little schedule, little to-do list based on goals. Think about what's important. Do those things first. Read your Bible. Put that on your schedule. Pray. Put that on your schedule. Take your wife on a date twice a month. Put that on your schedule. Going to read 30 pages a week in a book. Put that on your schedule. Fill it in, and then the rest of it will go in there. Get the important things on there first, and you'll have time. Ministry, put it on there, and you'll get it done. Spend your time on paper. But if you don't do that, what happens, you get to the end of the day, end of the week, and you don't have any time left to read your Bible. Don't have any time to do all these things that will show up at the judgment seat of Christ. 24, every church leader has heard 1 billion times the answer to a request for help: I don't have time. So that's one of the real practical nuts and bolts things I teach in my class, is the budgeting of time. And it's not complicated. It's not rocket science. If I flip before you have, just yell, "Hey, I'm not done," and we'll back up. 25, these well-intentioned believers have filled their life with a whole host of activities, most of which will not show up at the judgment seat of Christ. So the judgment seat of Christ is not, talking about if you kill somebody or rob a bank or cheat on your income tax. That's not the point. The point is, what have you done with your life that has made the church without spot, wrinkle, or blemish? What have you done with your life that has shown up in somebody else's life that's caused them to be mature or a believer? It's fruit. It's fruit for God that shows up. And so there's a lot of stuff we do. It's not bad. It just isn't fruit. And we fill our life up with that okay stuff that's not bad. It's just life, but doesn't show up at the judgment seat of Christ. And so we want to ask ourselves the question, what is it that I do that will show up at the judgment seat of Christ? And teach a Sunday school class to junior high boys. Start an accountability group. Witness. There's all kinds of things. But we got to make it happen, otherwise it won't. We got to plan on it, set a goal to it, otherwise it won't. So you teach that. So they have no time left for accomplishments that would receive rewards. Did you get that? So that's where most of the people that you get in your class will be living, and you got to teach them, turn that upside down. 26, those who really want to bear much fruit must be constantly simplifying their lifestyle. You got to teach that. Now, I again have an advantage over most of you because my spiritual gift is the gift of nagging. I do it naturally. I don't have to think about it, don't have to plan about it. I just do it. You know what? That's just saying it over and over and over and over. What's important? Because the more they hear it, the more it actually begins to sink in, the more life change that happens. So simplify your life. Simplify your life. Simplify your life. It doesn't mean that you're going to be a pauper. It simply means you're making time for that which shows up at the judgment seat of Christ. That's because you manage your life, you manage your time. 27, recreational activities, hobbies are indispensable as tools to keep our emotional gas tank full. But it's easy to get out of balance. I have 4 boats. I mean, who needs 4 boats? Why do you have 4 boats? Because I'm, impulsive and worldly. I build the boats. I like building them, and most time after I have them, while I give them away. So it's just at this point now where I haven't given any away lately. But I manage my time. I keep track of everything I do, and I continually ask myself the question, my priorities okay? My priority's okay. 28, many people get overcommitted to their work and have neither energy nor time to do much in ministry. So if some of the times there's been a guy in the church, been in church 3, 4, 5 years, and he's not gone in leadership class yet, I say, you want to go out to lunch with me? Okay, so we got to lunch. And I said, I'd like you to join my leadership class. Oh, I've thought about it, but I don't have enough time. Well, let's talk about that. You own a TV? Yeah. You watch it? Yeah, how much? Well, so when we get done, 6 hours a week. You know how much time leadership class will cost you in time? You attend class an hour a week, and you memorize the verses, and you read the book, and you meet people, and stuff. It's about 6 hours a week. You could do it 6 hours a week. So, you have time. It's just that you've chosen to make television a more important part of your life than my leadership class. And someday you're going to stand before Jesus and give an account, and you're not going to get much in the way of rewards because of the fact that you're not managing your time very well. You're a good dude. You really are, but you don't do much for Jesus. Take my class, and that'll all change. And if it doesn't, we'll do lunch again, and I'll buy. This time you're buying. 29, an area of life that consumes a lot of time is maintaining what we own. What we own owns us. You got to oil it and grease it and polish it and wash it. Put it in the garage. I mean, just stuff sucks up all our time. We rent a 10-yard dumpster every spring. And I told my wife, I said, how is it that we can fill that 10-yard dumpster every year? That's a lot of stuff in there. We certainly can't buy that much stuff in 1 year. Where does that all come from? Every year we get a 10-yard dumpster and we fill it up every year. Sort of a ceremony. Simplifying our life. Getting rid of stuff. 30, ownership of stuff is a major area that serious servants of God need to practice lots of self-examination in. Again, I'm not telling you this as much as I'm telling you this is what you need to tell those that you're teaching, training, discipling. It's a lot of the things when we talk about discipleship, that's not part of the program. Teaching people how to manage their time, to simplify their life. So if you don't do it, you can't teach it. One of the first requirements. 31, learning to manage classic time wasters. TV, social media, computer games, YouTube. We got more stuff today that we can do that has zero value. But it's fun, it's enjoyable, it's relaxing, it's not bad, not sin. A little bit's all right, but we want to manage that. And so that self-discipline, self-management becomes a key part of leadership training. 32, growing in our time management skills. And time management is a skill. By using a daily to-do list, goals. My dad was a time management teacher. One time we were shoveling gravel, he and I, together, and he stops, leans on his shovel. He said, let me teach you something about time management. I said, okay. The whole goal of time management is to get as much done as you possibly can. You got 24 hours in a day. Key principle. You shovel twice as fast as your shovel and you get twice as much done. I thought, I think maybe Dad must have noticed that he's shoveling twice as much as I am. And I says, if I keep up with you, is that going to be good enough? He says, that'll do it. Shovel twice as fast as you are and you get twice as much done. Seems pretty simple, doesn't it? Just move a little faster, get a little more done. But the goal, the point is what you accomplish, what you do. And so what matters? I had a pastor say to me in a group setting, fairly loud, everybody could hear it, Pastor D, you get more done than any pastor I know. I said, that's not true. That's not true. I just get more done that matters. And the reason I get done more that matters is because I decide to, I choose to. I make a list, a to-do list, what matters, what doesn't, and I focus on the things that matter until I get what I have a goal done. Then I can switch over to the stuff that doesn't matter. But it's fun, it's enjoyable, it's relaxing. 33, taking the time to write goals is a key way to establish priorities in our life. Let's say 20 till 2. It does. And you're coming on at 2, right? I'm good. Okay. 34. Ministry goals will require a fair amount of meditation, planning, thinking about, strategizing, so they stay high on the priority list. So a ministry, my definition, is a spiritual farm. Spiritual farm. And when I left the farm, the first place we had was a house in town that was a little bitty yard in it. And didn't like it. We sold that and then we rented, and now we have a place that's 2 acres. When we bought it, the house was just about ready to fall down. It's one of the oldest houses in the area. And the owner, the person who sold it to us, sold us for $37,000, assuming we would burn the house down, push it down, build something new. Well, we fooled him. We straightened it up and jacked it up, put a foundation on it, rewired it, did everything, fixed it all up. It's an old house. Took 25 years to do it, but I had 8 kids. And so we did that. And when you come visit me, when we come on my place, I say, I have 2 acres. I have 50 apple trees. I got 18 chickens. I got 3 shops. I got a 1950 Ford in that one. I got a 1969 Mustang in that one. And that one over there, I'm going to build a car from scratch. A 3-wheel car that's got a diesel engine in the front and an electric motor in the back. That's my goal. So I got 3 shops. And I got 300 ash trees back there. And next year, I'm going to put a 1/4-acre fish pond in with fish. And I'm going to be able to catch fish off my back deck. And then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to put a fence around the whole thing that's chicken tight, and that's my farm. A ministry is a spiritual farm. Say, what's your ministry? And you can describe it. And you can set goals for it. And you get sort of excited about it. You talk about it. Oh, yeah. You dream about it. And it can get bigger. And it can get better. That's a ministry. So what's your ministry? So I ask people in our church, what's your ministry? Well, I just do whatever. Well, that's fine. Somebody's got to do just whatever. But, man, it's tough to get motivated by just doing whatever. What's more fun is to have your farm. It's yours. You dream about it. You set goals about it. You get excited about it. And you have 18 chickens. You got 300 ash trees. You got 50 apple trees on 2 acres. Cool. And you got a 1/4-acre fish pond. You're going to put largemouth bass in it, and they're going to get big, and they're going to fight. Wow. That's your ministry, spiritual farm. So I have a goal personally that every person in our church will have a ministry. They will have a spiritual farm. And I say, what's your ministry? They can tell me. They can describe about it. And you just watch them as they do. They kind of get animated. Their smile gets big. Their eyes get big. That's my ministry. So you have to teach that. Encourage, motivate, equip so that happens. 35, over-involvement in the affairs of everyday life is one of the easiest ways to put out our own fire. So Paul tells Timothy in 2 Timothy chapter 2, no soldier in active service entangles himself in the affairs of everyday life. No soldier in active service entangles himself in the affairs of everyday life. You ever meditate on that one? Ever ask yourself, am I there? Am I entangled in the affairs of everyday life? So that's a pretty black and white statement. Paul tells Timothy, no soldier in active service entangles himself in the affairs of everyday life. I would really have liked it if Jesus had told Paul to make some specifics there. I want to know, am I not? Yes, it's one of those things I've got to decide. Examine my own life, make my own judgment. Am I entangled in the affairs of everyday life? So when somebody asks me that, I say, okay, here's the way to test that. What are you doing that's showing up at the judgment seat of Christ? Okay, you're entangled in the affairs of everyday life. Because you're not doing anything that's going to show up at the judgment seat of Christ. You're not bearing any fruit. You're not a bad person. You're just a busy person. And you're busy with stuff that doesn't matter. You're entangled in the affairs of everyday life. So just start pruning. Just start pruning. Cut out some stuff so you got time to do what matters. And what will show up at the judgment seat of Christ. You don't teach Sunday school. You're not helping with Awana. You don't show up on church work days. Why? I'm busy, yeah. So you got to cut out some stuff. And make a goal. You're going to invest 10 hours a week in ministry at the church. Okay, if you can't do it, start out with 5. Okay, start out with 1. Start somewhere. Go from there. As you learn how to manage your time and cut out the fluff, the stuff that doesn't matter, the stuff that doesn't count. 36, I consider it a major responsibility of mine teach people at JBC the skill of goal setting. Time management and the importance of establishing priorities in their life. So that's what this leadership class is about that I teach every year is that stuff. Set goals, manage your time, start a ministry. 2 Timothy 2:2, the things which you have heard from me in the presence of many witnesses, entrust these to faithful men who will be able to teach others also. Hebrews 5:12, for though by this time, you ought to be teachers. You have need again for someone to teach you the elementary principles of the oracles of God. You have come to need milk and not solid food. By this time, you ought to be teachers. You've been a Christian for a couple of years now, and you haven't grown. In fact, you've kind of plateaued. We're going to have somebody teach you all over again. Matthew 28, go therefore, make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe, to do all that I commanded you. 37, I need to teach and train others to live the Christian life well, to bear much fruit, and to teach them the importance of teaching others. Mark 3:14, and he appointed 12 that they would be with him. That they would be with him. That he could send them out to preach. They would be with him. The reason so he could teach them, train them. Follow me, I will make you fishers of men. I'll make you fishers of men. Acts chapter 20, verse 4. He was accompanied by Sopater of Berea, the son of Pyrrhus, by Aristarchus and Secundus and of the Thessalonians, and Gaius of Derbe, Timothy, Tychicus, Trophimus of Asia. They went with him. Paul taught these individuals. He trained them. He discipled them. They took over churches that he planted. 38, a key principle that I live by and teach others is when we don't teach others, we will stop learning. 38:9, the more we teach, the more we will learn. We can teach and train successfully on an informal basis. Very few will be faithful to that responsibility without some structure and plan. So if you're going to disciple, it almost always, to be successful, needs to be Saturday night, 6:30, Sunday morning, 8 o'clock, Wednesday night, 7 o'clock. You got a time and a place and a group of people and a program that you follow, that you're teaching. And so if you don't have some kind of system, it rarely happens with much success. And so I tell people, you don't have to do it the way I do it, but you got to have a plan and a system. And you got to know that when you get guys through the system, the plan, that you have at the end at what your goal is. That is, guys that are doing ministry, managing their time, loving their wife, doing the stuff that fully devoted followers of Christ do. And so I like my program. I've written it all, and I've used it for 40 years. And when I get guys that plug in and then come out the other end, I've got guys like James who came up and talked to you, and other guys you'll hear during this time. They're producers. They bear fruit. They make a difference. And so you can use anything I have free, and I will coach you and help you as much as you need to make it work. And so a number of people in the past have, and it's worked well for them, and so you're welcome to do it. And that's mostly what this seminar is about. Make sure you do it. You're discipling, you're training, you're equipping people to do the work of the ministry. Basic rule is if you don't train them, they won't do it. I mean, if you just say, hey, I need somebody to do this, 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 and this, you train them, motivate them, set them on fire, you'll have workers coming out everywhere. But if you don't, then there'll be very, very, very few people. You'll have a whole church full of warts. That's got to be an ugly body. So you want people that are hands and eyes and ears and feet and livers that are plugged in and they're functioning and the body is healthy and it's moving in a direction it ought to move. So that's up to somebody to train and to motivate and to see that that happens. We had an individual call several years ago, and they were writing a master's or a doctor's, I don't remember which, and they were doing it on church management. And they said, I would like to study your church. I got to study 6 churches to write my thesis on. And I want them to be different. And I heard that your church is a little different. I said, sure. Okay, do I have freedom to talk to whoever? Yeah, you can talk to anybody you want. I'll give you a list of names, phone numbers of elders, teachers, whatever. So they said, well, when I finish, I'd like to take you out to lunch, just tell you what I found about your church. And I said, cool. So they did, and I don't remember how long it was, a couple of weeks. Took me out to lunch, and they said, okay, here's the description of Jefferson Baptist Church. Jefferson Baptist Church is a ball of fire hurtling through space, and nobody has a clue how. Now, I didn't catch right off the bat whether that was intended to be an insult or a compliment, or simply just a statement. But I took it as a compliment. A ball of fire hurtling through space, no one has a clue how. And so that's because there was just all these individuals that had their spiritual farm. And, well, who supervises? Nobody. Who tells you what you can do? Nobody. Who tells you what you can't do? Nobody. You just do what you want. I just do that person, that person, that person, that person. And it becomes a system within a system. And you have a high number of people that are highly motivated to bear fruit, do things, and they fit together. They pursue unity because they recognize that God blesses unity more than anything else. And so they work together, accomplish their goals, and people's lives are blessed, the church grows, and I get to go fishing. And nobody asked me to tell them how to do it because they don't want me telling them what to do. And I don't want to tell them what to do. So it just happens. It's a cool way for a church to function. But it won't function that way unless they're trained. Unless they're trained. You'll have a whole bunch of troublemakers competing. The turfism becomes a major disease in churches where leaders are not trained in the importance of unity and oneness in the body. And turf wars are awful. They're awful. Nobody ever wins in those kind of things. So we do. Yeah, we have elders. They don't do much of it. I have other. I do most. Yeah, we have a board of elders. They're good guys. They're very, very good. So they love the church and they're smart. And but our elders function different than many church elders. They're not. They don't give me the dickens. They are partners and counselors and friends. And so we talk about where we are, what needs to happen. We work on it together, and it works really good. And so, again, for a Baptist church, we're different than most in that I initiate most of the time who the next elder will be, because I know who, when the guys go through leadership class, I know who responds to me well and who doesn't. Guys that get along with me, they're ones that are diligent, that have all the same philosophy and stuff. And so I'll suggest an individual. The existing board will say, yeah, they're cool. And so then we'll ask them, and then I'll send a letter out to the church family. And I'll say, so-and-so is been approved by the existing board to be an elder. Does anybody have a problem with that? And if anybody does, I go visit them. I don't know if we've ever had anybody state a problem. So they become an elder. And then a year later, I send the letter out again. 3 years later, I send out a letter again. After that, they're elders for life, unless they commit adultery or something, or die. Most of the problem, we have problems with elders dying. So our elders are on for life unless we just had an elder have a car accident, was killed. I did his service a couple of weeks ago. And then in about a year, another elder died. So we're going to have some new elders here in the next couple of months. But they've gone through leadership class 1 and 2. I know them. I know that they know how to set goals, manage time, do all the stuff they need to do. I know they get along with me. They know the importance and the value of unity. So our elder board is like gold. They are awesome guys. They love the church. They love me. And they let me lead. Now, Pastor Mike is taking over gradually, and he runs the elder meetings now. I just sit and make jokes and drink coffee. He does that. But it goes super good. That's the value of the leadership class, because I know when somebody goes through the class. My men's class, and the ladies' class I don't, but the men's class I insult guys quite regularly. I call them girls. Sorry, ladies. Wimps. And how do they respond to my accountability? They get all uptight and defensive. Can they take instruction, correction? I know who will, who won't. And so when we get ready for elders, I know the guys that'll work with me. They're not yes guys. They're smart. They're intelligent. But they do know the value of unity, and they know how to maintain it. They know how to talk and how to solve problems without getting uptight. And so my elder board, they're so easy to work with. They're amazing.